things that obviously don't meet the criteria or fall short in one way or another. Just saying these are the constraints that we're operating within.
Do we have any other suggestions on the agenda on things that should be made this through? So if anything from the audience? Go ahead.
You were mentioning that one of the main filters for these grants is this passing the legal threshold. So what are some examples of legal things that would get caught up in the legal filter?
Sure. Giles, and it's all according to Superfund law. And in order for something to qualify for restoration money, it has to fit within the legal framework. And a lot of them, like right now, the EPA on say the west side soils operable units, like from Tech all the way to Rocker, and any place that's not covered under the Butte Priority Soil Operable Unit. If some of these projects are in those areas, EPA is just, are you starting your PRP search now, Sarah?
We have the PRP search complete, but
Okay.
we have not started the RIFS
Yeah.
process, the remedial investigation yet.
Yeah.
So,
And so, outside the area would be possibly one. Another one, we're probably going to see a lot of infrastructure upgrades. And if it's not connected to the water system, then, it probably wouldn't meet the legal threshold. One of the projects that we already heard about was the mountain bike skills park behind Tech, and that was bumped out because it didn't make a connection to groundwater. And the other part was it was in the west side soils operable unit. So it's, we don't know what Remedy's going to do there yet.
so we have already cleaned that up. And so the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks has funded that. And we're looking at some other.
Yeah, isn't DOT coming through?
Possibly.
Yeah.
That could possibly meet the legal threshold, although it might not rank very highly based on the criteria we put together. I mean, it's restoration, replacement, acquisition are the three. And the three elements, that's the three legal thresholds on the circle, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think people understood that we had cleaned that up. When we sold that to Tech, or Argo gave that property to Tech. Before we could transfer that property, it had to be cleaned up before the university could accept that property.
And that kind of brings up a good point that I think maybe we need to include in this whole process is a way for, I'd hate to see a project that was thrown out because of some technicality that maybe wasn't correct. And so to have some kind of a process where whoever brought that project forward could come forward and, answer the questions and
How is this connected to groundwater?
right, and make another run at connecting it to legally and through our criteria. So some kind of a.
And the other thing is, if something comes up on west side soils, that looks like a good project, certainly I would hope that you would come to the agency and if we could see if we could all work together on a project like that rather than just saying no. Is there some way that we could do something for it? And I'm just throwing that on the table that we would be willing to look at that with you. And I don't know legally if you could do that, Pat, but certainly the agency would be interested in working with you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm Don Peoples, senior. I'm here tonight to try and learn more about what we're doing here. But I submitted a letter to Pat a couple weeks ago, and just the idea that we have, I just want to kind of throw this out to see if it would meet the legal criteria or if we should even think about going any further. But as you know, or may not know, the Maroon Activity Center, which is located on East Mercury Street, encompasses about 18 acres of land. About 60 to 70% of that is in the grass area. And, when we built the Maroon Activity Center, the Maroon Activity Center is not owned by the Diocese of Helena or the Catholic community uses. It's a separate 501c3 foundation that runs the facility. When we built the facility, we also put in a lot of grass areas, football field, the Torrey Wallace football field, and then we landscaped the area north of the Marine Activity Center itself and a lot of the accompanying areas. So we've got a large area down there that requires a lot of care and a lot of water. We're purchasing obviously the water from the Butte Water Company, and we knew that it was going to be a big expense going in. We had in 2006, after receiving assurance from federal and state agencies that the groundwater would be an appropriate source of water for irrigating all of that area. And you got to be honest, let me be very frank with you, the Maroon Activity Center was the beginning of the development of the resurgence of the East Butte area. And, we had a well drilled at considerable expense, and after we again had consulted with federal and state agencies that the water would be good for irrigation purposes. But anyway, once we began, and we were told by the agencies that in all likelihood the water would be safe for irrigation, but it might stain the sidewalks in concrete and turn them in an orange color. Well, shortly after we began irrigating, had the well drilled by O'Keefe Drilling, and began watering the area, it became apparent that the water was indeed contaminated, that the grass turned green, or turned orange. I wish it had turned green. But it started to turn orange, and we immediately contacted the Bureau of Mines and contacted the State Department of Environmental Quality and other agencies. And it was determined that the water was not good for irrigation purposes. However, our water bill for the area has been averaging over $20,000 a year to keep that water, to keep that area irrigated. The fact that the Peace of Bowl has decided to raise the water rate by 10% a year for the next 5 years or thereabouts, it's going to make it virtually impossible for us to irrigate and maintain all of that area, which I think is very attractive. And it would be a real eyesore if we just let that area dry up. So what we were suggesting is that we put about half of that into desertscaping, and desertscaping would be weed block covered with decorative gravel or rock, and planting of low maintenance and low water requiring trees and shrubs along that area. We would not, of course, put gravel on the football field. Obviously, some people might think that would be a good idea to return to the old days when we played on dirt fields. But we would maintain, the overall football field, but we'd like to desertscape a good portion of that. Now, I don't think we're talking about a lot of money. I think we're talking probably, and again, this is just my back of the envelope calculation, but I would think that anywhere between $75,000 to $100,000 would probably be able to do it. Now, my understanding is that the NRDC was filed for one of the reasons was groundwater contamination. Certainly, one can make the argument that if anyone has been injured by groundwater contamination, it's that facility out there. We just simply can't afford to see water rates go up to $30,000 to $40,000 a year and continue to maintain that facility. That facility has been a huge